Most of the time when we think we want to serve our clients, we add more stuff. People that are really good take shit away.
Wow.
We wouldn't be here without the content agency. Yeah. It's like, right, yeah, it got you out of Egypt, but it's not going to take you to the promised land. You could go into 2026 doing $20 million. Yeah. In this episode, you're going to see behind the scenes of a consulting session I did with the boys from the School of Hard Knocks. They've done incredible things. They have over 10 million followers on social. Their videos go viral. You see them everywhere. But transitioning those people from followers to clients, paying clients, who you can get a massive impact, well, that's a different story. And I showed them a path to $10 million in revenue and $20 to $30 million next year. And you get to sit in on it. What's going on, boys?
How are we doing?
How you doing?
Good. Hey, so I think the best way to start, and I'd love to start with the end in mind and then go back to what you've achieved and like where you're at right now. So if it was a year from now, and we're back here, hopefully we hang out again in a year from now, and it was the best year of your guys' life and your company, making the impact you want, the income you want, the growth is there. What does that look like? What's a year from now, best year of your life look like?
Yeah, I think, our biggest goal right now is to be doing, I could say from a revenue standpoint, $10 million. Okay. I think it's kind of like the goal that we've set by the next year. And I think that, we want to kind of translate what we did from a media side of creating one of the biggest, finance entrepreneur media channels in the world, but translating that to our entrepreneur community that we have. Our channel has 10.5 million followers across all platforms. We're doing 200 million views a month. Our community,
amazing,
just by having a couple thousand people and having a great base in there of consistent engagement and a lot of those like good indicators of like a community that's like growing and doing well. I think that we want to find a way to kind of, bolster a lot of that growth within the community that we're currently running.
Gotcha. And so 10 million bucks in revenue, great. How, reverse engineer that for me. How do you get to the 10 million? Right now you have a monthly, what's your monthly called?
The School of Mentors is our private community.
Yeah, private community. Are you reverse engineering thinking that 10 million comes from that? Or like if you put it in buckets, I'd love to hear it.
A big piece of it. So last year 2024 was our first year that we did 7 figures in revenue across the whole business.
Yep.
A big part of that was because we launched the subscription service with the School of Mentors.
Yep.
I firmly believe that the School of Mentors will make up a big majority of that 10 million. And the reason why is because right now we have the community at about a $39 a month price point. But I think what we can do, and that's a great entry point for a lot of the people in our audience to be able to join. What we would want to do is be able to take it further and be able to ascend people to other levels.
More people in the original and also the evolution. We'll talk about that today, right?
Yeah.
That kind of escalation model. We call it like a value ladder.
Yeah, and just to kind of also give you like transparency to us, like we have 4 real like streams of income. So number one being obviously on all platforms, ad revenue. Again, doing a couple 100 million views a month, we're monetized through ad revenue. We do a lot of like brand partnerships or campaigns. We've done some with foreign governments. We've done a lot of campaigns, and being that because of how big our reach is that like we get a pretty good amount of money for that as well. We have a content agency where we work with a lot of top entrepreneurs to do their content, but then the subscription model, the recurring revenue of the community is something that, we're really passionate about. And I would say is our baby that we're really looking to grow. But those 4 things are just to give you kind of like full, transparency as to like what exactly.
So if you did the 10 million bucks, what do you think the monthly mentorship, what do you think? Is that 50% of that 10 million? Or is it 75% of that 10 million? What would you expect?
I think we could probably get the low ticket to around 150,000, and I'm sure we could get some sort of ascension program to 150,000 a month as well.
So I would say probably like 25% to 30% of that could probably come from the community.
Yeah.
Community. So out of the other ones, ad revenue, brand partnerships, and content agency, which one of those is the most profitable?
Brand
partnerships for sure.
By far.
Brand partnerships?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this is probably number 1?
Yes.
Brand partnership
yes.
number 1?
Yep. Yes.
And it has the highest margins of anything as well.
Gotcha. Ad revenue? That's just the byproduct. You don't have to do much for that.
We really don't.
Right, you don't even factor that in. It happens because you guys are getting lots of views, right?
Sure.
So, and what about?
And the other thing about ad revenue is, and you got to make clear to all creators, is that you cannot build a business off of ad revenue. Because one month they can pay you and one month they don't. Because when you post that content, that platform owns the content. So we've kind of, obviously it's great. It helps pay for the team. It helps with payroll. But we really don't want to factor that into. You never want to be relying on a platform.
You look at the time right now as well. It's like you just never know. TikTok at the time we're speaking this could just be gone. and you just never know when your account can be taken away. And that's why we've started to expand and grow things like a newsletter to where we can start to own our
I love that.
as well.
I love that. Tell me about the content agency.
Right. So right now, the content agency does about 30 to 40K monthly recurring revenue. I firmly believe that that can be a piece of our business that scales really heavily, but that is probably the part of the business that has the least amount of margin for us.
And what is that? So you take on other creators and help them do the
so
models
a lot
that
of
you
the
do?
entrepreneurs that we interview, because they're busy running big businesses, but we send them traffic by going super viral with them on our page. We, do their content right away. So it's completely done for you. So all the filming, editing, content ideation,
who
strategy,
manages that
posting.
team?
I would say primarily him.
me.
But then we have internal teams of like account managers, editors, videographers as well.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
stuff like that.
No, it's great. It's great to break this down because I'll give you a little advice as you guys grow. Sometimes we get stuck in a success trap, right? And it doesn't mean this is it. This could scale, like you said, maybe it could scale to $200,000 a month with the right. But that content agency was a great way to start. You guys are getting eyeballs. You're helping people get traffic. They don't know what they're doing. You're serving the people that you interview. And it might have been the thing that got you liftoff, right? But you might fast forward 3 months from now and you got $300,000 coming in monthly. You got an ascension ladder and you go, is the juice really worth the squeeze? Right? So just sometimes we stick with things. And I know I've done with that. It's like, no, that baby got us. That we wouldn't be here without the content agency. Yeah. It's like, right, it got you out of Egypt, but it's not going to take you to the promised land.
Exactly.
So
I love that.
It's okay. Yeah. It's okay to have. It's literally okay sometimes to have creative destruction. You guys should write that down. As you grow, creative destruction is one of the best terms ever, and it also there might be things that you three boys do that got you out of Egypt that you're doing a great job. But it might get bigger than you. And sometimes that creative destruction is taking yourself out of the role. Yeah. Because like there's a lot of times when I was launching my businesses, I'd be spinning all the plates. Yep. And you get to 10 million, 15 million, and I realize I can't go any further. There's no more time. Yeah. I have to destruct myself in these three and hire somebody better than me in that department. And you gotta, so just think through that lens as you're growing.
So one thing we would realize, and you might be touching on this as well, we know in order to keep the content agency, we have to fully remove ourselves.
Got it. So it makes sense.
We know, we know. Like if we were still in the weeds, this business doesn't get to 10 million this year.
So over the next 60 days, our game plan is to, like he kind of said, we're big believers in a slice of the pie, not 100% of the grape.
Yep.
So to completely remove ourselves, just really spend the next 60 days, at least on my behalf, with just creating systems, putting the right people in place, so that way it can continue to grow without us. And we can still kind of have an advisory kind of role on it.
Yep.
But it's kind of we're taking more of a back seat and letting that grow on itself.
Again, not to go too far off topic here, I'm curious to get your perspective on this. I will say that our knowledge of the algorithms, our placement in the market being the size of the channel that we built, the reach that it does, we disproportionately understand content better than 99.9% of people. Is there almost like a different, whether it be consulting done for you, like do you think that we're, in regards to whether we were to keep the agency or at least have that as a sector of our business, do you think that we should be going a different route with it, as far as like, hey, you're working with big entrepreneurs that are already running 8-figure, 9-figure companies. Do you think that we should shift to go the consulting route, keep that as an option? I'm just kind of curious to get your perspective on that as well.
Really great question. A lot of them that you're working with know how to build teams.
Right.
They're not afraid to hire people. And they have the money to do so. So you might be able to generate the same exact revenue for consulting a team that they build rather than you doing it for them. I mean, if that's less heavy lifting for you guys, or is it more of a pain to try to get them to train the team? Is it easier just to get it done? But I would bet to say, how do you charge for that? Is there a monthly charge, or is it?
Yes.
There's a monthly charge.
So like primarily like 2 packages.
Got it.
Depending on like the amount of videos that they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, you sold me on it when you said you understand the algorithm and such, which is true, right? You guys are in the weeds and you did it. I mean, 10.5 million followers across all platforms is freaking insane. It's incredible what you guys done. So I think it's a worthy thing to keep, but simultaneously, I just want to make sure if you looked at number 1 and number 2 in my like brand partnerships and school of mentors monthly with an ascension model, those two can get you to 10 million with nothing else,
right?
A year, right? And beyond. So the only thing I would say, as you grow, sometimes all of them are viable. But if you spread yourself out, then all of them grow slow. Like, I love the analogy. I just shared this with my team. Like, sometimes we have 5 really important projects going on, right? And it's like 5 snails going across the desert, because you work on this one and you go, oh no, I got to go over to content. Oh, it's a little messed up over here. Oh, the brand partnership. We better keep our friendship with that guy. I better fly out there and have dinner with him. Oh no, how's our membership going? Oh, we should launch that coaching program, but I don't have time. And all of a sudden you got all these things and you got diluted focus, and all of them are growing slowly. Where if you said, hey, all of our energy is going on brand partnerships and school of mentors. If it gets all, because let's just take it to the simplest approach. To get to 10 million, have you figured out how many people you want in School of Mentors? Like, how many members do you think you'd need by the end of the year?
I think
members, I should say.
I think probably at least 10 to 15,000.
Gotcha.
10 to 15,000,
Yes.
I think would be the number.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you think about this, not to oversimplify, but if 10 to 15,000, here, let's go over here. Follow me on the whiteboard. Actually, really quick, right? If you want 10,000 members, you can hang there. You guys can, if you want 10,000 members, wherever you want to hang, it's good with me. 10,000 members, right? If that's your big goal, what would you say is the number one constraint that would stop you from getting there? Like, you guys shared some of it in there, but what's the number one constraint problem that?
I think it's just awareness at this point, just continuing to build that awareness.
Okay, so solve awareness. Okay, what else?
Promising messaging, maybe.
Yeah, the messaging. Because the people that come into the program, they absolutely love it. We're connecting, the person, the average everyday business owner, to maybe someone who's looking to leave their 9 to 5 with a 7-figure mentor, as well as resources to where someone can start and scale that business. And the average person doesn't have the ability to access these connections. So when they come in, they love it. But I just think it's sometimes speaking to that person accordingly.
Right. So it's kind of like elegant marketing, right? You don't want to slam them into it, but it really is marketing. Messaging is marketing, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go backwards here. So let's say messaging. What else?
A slight concern, but I feel like we have really good solutions to handle it, would be you get too many members in there. They feel like there's just too many people, like they don't get as much touch with a lot of the people we're bringing on live calls, things like that, because there's so many people, they don't get a chance to interact or speak and things like that. The solution with that would be is that, like, hey, you're coming to hear this great entrepreneur speak for the price of a couple sandwiches.
So just to
and you're surrounded by 9,999 great other entrepreneurs on the same journey. Like, that to me is worth the price of the membership already. But right now, part of the experience is that people get called up on the call and talk to a 8-9 figure entrepreneur and ask them a question about their business or life or business advice, stuff like that.
And when we were initially starting to kind of, again, grow the community, it's like, okay, maybe you'd have like 60 people on a call, 70 people. But then, it's like we're getting people like Neil Patel, who owns one of the biggest marketing agencies in the world, and you're getting like 400 people on the call. So then it's like, okay, well, Neil Patel's giving us an hour and a half to 2 hours of his time. But then again, it's like, maybe 20 to 30 people get called on out of the 100 people that raise their hand to try and ask them a question.
Okay, so we'll get to the solution in a minute, but most of the solution to that is framing. It's how you frame it, right? We have big memberships too, and we say most people, and we're going to get to it in my next question here, most people have the same problems. They have the same questions. Your people who follow you are like-minded, and when you frame it in a way, you might not get picked, but make sure you realize that when someone else asks a question, your answer usually lives within it. So there's subtle things you do as you grow. You can create Zoom. You can put, if you evolve to get 10,000 members, you can financially make it. So how do they watch you now? On YouTube?
What do you mean? How do
Like if you're doing a live?
Yeah, we usually have like a Zoom call.
You have a Zoom call.
And then we'll obviously build a lot of hype for it.
So you put all members on a Zoom call?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so do you do breakouts with them?
So we have a couple different Zoom calls. So our main,
real quick, explain to him the different parts of the community. So
absolutely. So our community model is kind of broken up. Our main value driver is that every week we bring on a millionaire mentor entrepreneur to come and speak to the community, answer questions. We also have an on-demand classroom where we filmed a bunch of different master classes with a lot of the entrepreneurs that we interviewed. And then obviously the community chat for networking. on there. And then we also have some extra calls like networking calls, consulting calls, we have a lot of workshops where more 6 to 7 figure level people that they can maybe relate to a little bit more will come on and teach more of a hands-on skill. But really the value driver is that millionaire mentor call. And essentially we build hype around that all week for people to come on. Whoever can attend live comes.
Great.
They can ask their question. If they can't, then we post the recording a couple of days later for people to go check out.
So something to think about, and you can make a note so we could talk more about it later, is if you drive them as you grow into Zoom, and you have the ability to push them into breakouts with 5 or 6 people and give them a topic, it'll feel more intimate, right? So Neil talks for an hour and a half. Neil brings up a lot of stuff. They're taking notes like crazy. You come up and say, tell me one takeaway Neil shared that wowed people.
Yeah, one big thing that he pretty much told people is that like, hey, if like, at least one tip that he gave us that a lot of people really loved is that like you need to go global with your content. So don't think about just like once you start getting big with your content, think about maybe serving other markets, because at some point you max out your total addressable market. So your TAM, and then so you need to expand to other channels like Spanish, French, German, whatever.
Great.
Yeah.
So say you take a big takeaway. At the end, you could say, okay, we're going to put you in a group. You got 3 minutes each, 5 minutes each to share what you learned from that call and what your next best step is. And if anybody in the room has an answer to help you, it's mini masterminds. It's the collective wisdom of a small group. It is absolutely one of the most powerful things we've done in our bigger groups.
So instead of, because typically what we'll do is we have a community manager that we hired. At the end of the call, we'll have him host like a post-call discussion with all the members. You would rather break that out?
Yeah, I would test it because I test it, and if they like it, because there's some. So we'll set up a breakout of 3 or 5, and say you got 8 minutes each, 2 minutes to share your biggest problem or challenge, and then 6 minutes for the group to help you collectively solve it. So you go in and say, hey, I'm just starting out in business. I'm a little insecure. My parents told me I'm crazy. You know, it could be the lowest level thing, but I know I'm an entrepreneur. What do you guys think? Somebody in the room is like, I was there too, but this is what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden there's this collective group of everybody trying to support that person, and the time's up, it goes to the next person. We've been doing those for years, and we found nothing more powerful. And it connects the group, and sometimes they build friendships, and they know each other. So now they're not just the whole collective, they'll meet friends in those little breakouts. But I would test it. What you're doing sounds great.
So when they first join the community, we have them, you know, not everybody does this, because some people, when they book a subscription, they don't want to hop on a live call, things like that. But we offer a new member welcome call, and we now have 2 community managers that run those. And what they've done, because we've had so many more members join, is sometimes you'll get a welcome call with like 30, 40 people on it. And so trying to, you know, provide a really great welcome experience for 30 to 40 people all at once is like going through a presentation. It's not as intimate. So we started doing the breakout rooms on those. But I think your suggestion about the mentor calls, when that's the really key value driver, not just like the new member.
It really anchors it in, and you can set the intention. Go in the room, you got 2 minutes to start, 5 minutes of this. Here's the question you're going to ask, or here's the help you need, or go in the room and share for 2 minutes one of your greatest core competencies that could help the other room. So you could set these intentions, and then every week or every month, if you do it monthly, they get to meet other people in the group.
Something I love about that as well is like I feel like sometimes where the person is and then where the mentor is at is sometimes hitting them with like a fire hose.
Yeah, it is. Versus, right? So this brings it down to, hey, I'm dealing with the same stuff. Exactly. I'm still not sure if I want a career or be an entrepreneur, or if anybody will, you know, who's going to follow me. Like all those things get solved down here.
Correct.
Right? You see Neil and other people, you bring in millionaires, and sometimes it's the gap, and people can't see the gap. You'll have more people quit who can't see the bridge from where they are to where they want to go than they were that they don't like your content. It's not like they don't like your content. They just don't believe that they could achieve it. So one of the biggest things you have to do is give belief, right? So you can provide the greatest content in the world, but if you don't believe you can, you won't, right? You guys know this. You've interviewed so many great people. You understand this, but most people don't. Let me ask you, before we talk about the problem that you need to solve or the constraints you have, who is your ideal client? Tell me who should be in that group.
Yeah, and so this is why like we want to do a bit of an ascension plan, because I think that right now we're addressing a lot of different entrepreneurs, and so we ran a poll in the community to pretty much see like where does our audience lie. And the 4 categories we ran it as was you're interested in entrepreneurship, but you have no idea what you want to do. You just know you want to go into business. The second one was I want to be an entrepreneur and I know what I want to do. I just haven't taken action on it yet. Third is I run a business or I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm under 10K
Great
a
questions.
month.
Yeah.
And the fourth
I'm over
one,
10K.
Over 10K. I think next time if we did it, we would add a fifth one. Hey, I'm over 25 or I'm over 50 to get more intel on who would be more ideal for the high ticket one. But I think.
So how did that break out percentage wise?
So majority of the people were in the bottom two categories. So under 10K or over 10K, but it was pretty
People that had actually
it wasn't like
business.
it wasn't like one of the four categories. It was like 80%.
Right. So it's like, so the people who didn't know what they want to do, they just wanted to be an entrepreneur, 20%.
Yeah, 20%.
People, I know what I want to do, but haven't done anything yet.
25,
25%. And then
the majority was
entrepreneur, 10 grand. Was that another?
under 10 grand was the highest one.
Okay. So they're
and
in it, but they're just not collecting revenue yet.
And what percentage would you say was over 10 grand?
maybe like 30%, something
Gotcha.
like that. Yeah.
Okay. So your ideal client, I know it's broad, but if we could narrow it down, aspiring entrepreneurs, whether they're in first sale, next sale, or consistent sales. I like to break it down that way. Like there's some people coming in, it's like, how do I get started to make a sale? Some people are coming in and said, I've made sales, but I want to make it consistent, right? And so what are the common threads that you guys provide, which you obviously do, the common threads for all of them, right? You need a success mindset. You got to overcome obstacles. You want to see, you want to innovate.
Yeah, so we recently put together a bit of a curriculum. Originally, it was just like, we labeled it the Netflix for entrepreneurs, where we had a bunch of different master classes from people we've interviewed. But we realized when people joined, it was kind of like a buffet. They're like, oh, this is great. There's a lot of great stuff here, but I have no idea what to put on my plate first. And I don't even know if this is going to solve my problem. So I got with the community managers and we came up with a curriculum. Start out, if you don't have a business model yet, we give you some options and some master classes to get started in a business model. Then we have a business essentials checkpoint where we go over things like, are you incorporated? Are you, do you have like your taxes set up? Do you have funding? And we have affiliate partnerships with those as well. And then what would then take them to is like, once you start your business, go over the mindset, fundamentals of entrepreneurship. And then the last two modules are get to 10K a month, which I think addresses a lot of people. That's more the sales and marketing. And then the last one is for the overlap of people that like, it's more of the systems, delegation, hiring, things like that. But a lot of that stuff you don't really need to address until you start making money.
That's great. No, this is all good stuff. And then we'll get to laying out how to get there.
Yeah. Right?
But this is all good content because when you market to too many people at once, and we're going to say market, even though, and I'm going to start, because if I start talking about marketing and sales, I know you guys also, we've had some great conversations about how much you care about your followers. Right? You don't ever want to be perceived as the person that's just slamming somebody into something.
However, I'll say this is an area where I would love to hear what you think about it, because this is something. Because again, like this is our first time really ever like.
No, I get it.
marketing
I get
something.
it.
You know what I mean?
And that transition going, you had to build such an amazing. Please, here's what I want to share. How old are you boys?
26.
22.
24.
Yeah, amazing what you guys have created, right? Think about if you rewound 5 years ago. You never would have dreamed you'd be in this spot. True?
We always joke about like if we were to go back to when we were in like 11th grade in high school in physics class and somebody, your future self was telling you that you
wouldn't believe it. You're like,
we were doing this. You're like,
yeah.
BS. So first off, what propels us into the future sometimes is having to look backwards and see the progress we've made. Because when you get to certain points, remember this, and you can write this down forever. Every level, there's a new devil.
Yes.
Every time, like you guys figuring out the algorithm of YouTube and how to get the right guests on your show and how to go viral and that was all complex, and you had to figure all that out. And some people do extremely well on getting eyeballs and making things go viral. Now you have a whole nother devil of complexity is, hey, how do I elegantly monetize this without alienating my group? And I said this to you guys earlier, but when you look through the lens of service, do you know for a fact if people join your membership that they're better off?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right?
No
I know
question.
for a fact. You guys explained it to me. I get it. So if you know for a fact that can enhance their life, then I reverse engineer and go, what? I need to do everything in my power to get people to say yes so I can help shift their life.
I like that way of
Right?
thinking.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I
And
like
and
that
when
way
you
of
shift it
thinking.
even further is if some people don't get involved, they'll be inspired by your videos. Remember this. What you guys are in the business of right now, when you come up and you did that interview with me, it was fun. So many people sent me that, by the way.
Mhm.
That was a fun little clip there.
You got like 30 million views.
I know.
Something crazy, yeah.
It was fun. But I want to tell you, you're an incredible inspiration. This one might hit you and you might not like it. You guys are very inspirational. Now you guys are trying to get into transformation business. Remember, I truly believe we are in a time that we are bombarded with information. We have information overload. But we're starving for wisdom. Right? So what you're, when you reframe this in your head is...
Can you explain information overload?
Just mean, you go on YouTube, there's content after content after content, but most people's lives aren't being transformed by a YouTube video.
Yeah.
You know they're being transformed when they're a part of a mastermind, part of a membership. They pay for a mentor. Remember this, in most cases, Zig Ziglar said this many years ago, people who don't pay attention.
Wow.
Gems.
People who don't pay attention. If I run a free event, Tony and I do a free event, we'll have 18% of the people show up to a free event. We're doing one right now. We'll have 1.4 million people register. 18% will show up.
Wow.
Do you know if we just charged $10, it'd be more like 40%. If we charged 1,000, it would be 70%. If we charged 10 grand, it'd be 99%. Because when you cut a check, you commit, like they are committing, they're committing with their dollars, right? So not only, the other thing to remember too is some of the most costly advice in the world is free advice and bad free advice, right? So I'm anchoring that into your soul because the last time we talked, guys, I could feel you wanted to launch this. You knew it could help people, but you're also thinking, hey, we built this loyal following. Are they going to be mad at us? Have you ever thought, are they going to be mad at us?
Yeah.
I could feel that, right?
Because people say like once you kind of flip that switch to where you're starting to sell, then it kind of changes the dynamic of you and your audience.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, I'm going to tell you something. If you guys start selling more, there is going to be a small percentage of your audience that's not going to like you. And what I would say is just feel bad for them and let them go. Because they don't want help. They've already had years and years of free content. Why the hell aren't they living into their full potential if your free content was enough? You guys have to look through the lenses. We are going to continue to inspire for free. Like this is how I would shift your terminology. Internally, you should be like, hey, we're gonna inspire for free forever. But if you're truly ready for transformation, then this is what we've created for you. Once you realize that how much your products and services, and we'll get to that in a minute, can actually get your ideal client the results they want, then you should actually feel bad if you don't sell them because most of them will suffer in silence. They'll just watch your videos like, oh, that guy, he probably was born with money. Oh, that guy got lucky. Like you can't interview 6,000 people and all of them get lucky. There's a pattern, there's a system, right? So if you take on that mindset that you're not selling, you're serving, it changes everything. So with that in mind, right, if you're serving now and you know their ideal outcome is to get them further along, to start their entrepreneurship, to fuel the entrepreneurship they have, or to take the business they have to a whole nother level, right? The different levels that you described. Then as we get to marketing, right, if we're, to me, you have more problems solved already than you realize, right? I started in this world before social media existed, right? So I started in this space 30 years ago. The only way to communicate with people was with direct mail or an infomercial. There was no communities online. There was no place if you wanted to have a community. It was a meetup group in different cities, right? It didn't exist. You have this opportunity, right? To bring people together. And if you think through the lens of, I had to pay for every eyeball I had. So I had to pay for an infomercial and hopefully you'd create something good enough where people would watch it. And back then they had to pick up the phone, call and talk to an operator. Think what a pain in the butt that was, right? You had to watch a half-hour show, pick up the phone, wait on hold, talk to an operator, pull out your credit card. Now they just do one click on their phone, right? But if you think about it, in my career I started before social, so I had to pay for every eyeball. So for me to have the viewership that you had, I would have paid tens of millions of dollars each year to have that. And you guys, but you put in the work. You put in the hard work up front to build a following, to build trust. People know, like, and trust you. You don't take advantage of them. You do the right thing. So you probably don't realize how valuable the asset is, right? And you're just scratching the surface and you got whatever, thousands of members. With a strategic model, I would bet to say that you've solved the problem of eyeballs. Now it's how to transition. So if I was going to describe to you what's your biggest problem, how to elegantly transition viewers into members. How do you transition viewers into members without pissing a lot of people off? I promise you though, as you guys move forward and you start to grow this, you're going to have 1% of the people go, sellouts. How could you do this? It's so horrible. Here's what I say. Try to help them too.
Yeah.
My buddy, you know Trent Shelton?
Yes.
You know Trent? He's just a great guy. He lives in Dallas. And he's got massive following. And he played the NFL. And he said when he first started growing, he said when he finally started to monetize things, and I helped him start this, just like we had a conversation just like this. And he said all of a sudden he had people like, he'll have somebody, he'd watch him every week and they'd watch a 30-minute video for free and they'd be like, this is great, but I can't believe you sold out and created a course. And then he came up with a new frame. He's like, you're just a delusioned fan. Like, you keep following me. If you didn't like me, you'd go someplace else. I'm still giving you stuff for free and you're still enjoying it. And listen, when you go to, some people get the American Express green card. Some people want the gold card. Some people want the platinum card, and some people get the black card. There's a home for everyone. And if you start looking at it that way, you have the free card and you have all the way up.
This is something I wanted to ask you. And it's slightly off topic to this though. But what is your thoughts on, we call it like the wisdom economy. What is your take on people that sell courses or coaching? Because maybe, do you think there is a fine line between those that should be selling and then those that don't? I just want to get your overall take on it. Like just from...
Well, here's what I think. I think you guys as young kids, if you just came out and said, we solved all the problems, we're fantastic, you should listen to us. That's different than you saying we're bringing in incredible mentors that you might not have access to.
Right.
The people who have helped us grow faster. I mean, the wisdom you guys have from interviewing so many great people, that should be shared. That should be shared. And I know there's lots of podcasts and things people could watch. So the high level, and then we'll get into how I think you should solve that problem of converting viewership into members. That's why I think that's the problem we should work on solving today.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things we could solve, but that would be the greatest thing we could solve. You guys should start thinking how, unlike just a podcast where you great information, there's an interview, is how do you hold your members accountable to make them feel uncomfortable for inaction, right? Because they could go watch an interview, but if they know with you, like, these guys push me to actually do something, to fill something out. If there's a reward system for action takers, like if you could find a way, it's like, listen, you could be a great athlete and give lots of great advice on being a great athlete. But when you become more of a coach with accountability, you get people to do the work. So you asked me a question, who should do a course and who shouldn't? Listen, I'm in the Tony and I own Mastermind.com. We teach everybody how to do courses and programs. And I think everybody has a skill set. Everybody has a life experience. You got to identify where yours are. But I really love the approach you guys have is like, we're not only just bringing our wisdom, we're kids, but we've interviewed some of the best in the world. We continue and we have these partnerships. I think it's brilliant.
Right. And I love what you said about you got to make your members feel like bad for not taking action, because we have a saying that's like information can change situations, but only through implementation.
Right. That's it. Well, that's it. Stick to that guide. So how are you, I'm going to erase this. If that's your goal, I'm just going to erase this. We know the problem we want to solve is how do we convert
I was also just going to add on to that.
Yeah.
Is you notice is that the people that actually leave are the people that don't join the onboarding call and the welcome calls. Because you'll see, I mean, you can probably look at the breakdown, is people that do actually interact within the community, like on the onboarding calls, we'll have them drop a post and connect with the other members on there. And those people will tend to stay and they get the most value out of it.
What's the first thing? I'm a little bit all over the place, but we'll go and then we'll reverse engineer. What's the first thing you have? It's an onboarding call. And then what do you tell them to do?
The new member journey. So they join the community. We have plastered at the top of the community, new members start here, because you come in, any other announcement, they wouldn't know what it means. So new members start here. We have very very simple instructions for them to do. 1, introduce themselves to the community. And then 2, book a welcome call. 3, go through the welcome course. So like once you've introduced yourself,
and guaranteed the people who actually do that stick significantly longer than the people
they stay for a while. Some people are just browsers. They come in, they don't want to hop on a call to talk to somebody on a welcome call. They don't want to make a post because they think it's too much work, even though it's answering 3 questions. And then we have a welcome course that's very simple. It used to be all drawn out, but then we condensed it to like 3 modules of like welcome video from him, a walkthrough from me, showing them where all the value is, and then 3, where to start in the classroom. If they, hey, while you're waiting for the mentor calls, browse the classroom or interact in the community. And we kind of give them that curriculum that I
wonder if there's some kind of ethical bribe you could do for those to go through it. We send them a t-shirt, send them a hat, something or
That's actually a really great idea. We do send them a DM as well, automatically telling them to book their call and then check out the posts if they haven't done so.
So let me ask you, let's just start mapping this out.
Yep.
I got plenty of information, good stuff. I mean, you guys are on such a good path. Your sales page where people can register, right? So you have a page for that.
Yes.
Okay. So let's just have, this is yours. Is there a video on it?
There is. There's a sort of like a mini VSL, like a VSL that kind of tells people.
And then they can sign up and then there's information about it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
On there as well, there's like a video kind of showing them through the community, like some of the different features, and then some testimonials.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you tested headlines? Have you tested other versions of this?
We do. Conversions? Yeah, we've tested a lot of things, and we've seen the one that works the best recently, actually, and it's been converting a lot of members, is actually offering a 7-day free trial. And that's what's been the lever of giving people an access to just try it for free and see if they love it or not. And then that's what's been working.
Gotcha. Love that.
Are you a fan of free trials? Do you like free trials?
Yeah, we do a $1 trial. We've done for years, especially if you have a great product.
Right.
People don't do trials sometimes because they get in and go, right? But also you got to realize trials don't work unless they're crystal clear on, they have to digest some of it, right? You give a free trial, they got to eat the food, they got to try it, they got to be in. If you have a free trial and you don't, you said, members start here. But if it was just like free trial, look at all you get, that's the worst thing you can do. It's like, I had a call with a few people, we were obsessing on this. It was Dan Martell and Alex Hermosi and Stu McLaren, all guys that are membership-based people. And we called it like general population. Like most people have membership sites and it's like you give money and all of a sudden you walk in and it's like, oh my God, where do I go? It's like going to your first day of college and no one, there's a million classrooms, lots of great education going on, professors all over, but no one told you what to do first, second, or third. So you're standing on campus like, I don't know, should I go into 101 science or math or it's too confusing. And they leave. You have to have the dotted lines on the floor like you're in, okay, walk this way first, shake this hand, walk in this door, get this, go. And usually it's like a week of do these things first. It sounds like you're there, but I would look for any holes. I would look for where people bail the most on your onboarding and adjust that. Just like marketing, you got to obsess on each one of those pieces because just remember, if they digest what you create, they will stay as long as your product's good. And I'm just going to trust completely that you got a great product.
I guess one thing that we'd love to figure out, how do we get more people to go through the onboarding?
So we'll get there in a second. We'll go that way on it. But let me just ask, how do you drive people currently to this page?
Yeah, couple different things. So I'd say the primary ways that we're marketing right now is we have found that bar none, and we have incredible engagement across all platforms. YouTube is where we make a ton of money off.
Yeah, so we not only do our YouTube integrations, but we also have story promotions where we run offers.
You said store promotions?
Story on like Instagram and Facebook stories. And then all those story promos are also tied to a ManyChat sequence. So we will get their email within that sequence. That way they can be added into not only our weekly newsletter that we send out every Thursday.
Great.
That's primarily just value driven.
So does your newsletter subtly push people back to the membership too?
Correct. Yeah, it's primarily value driven. And then we also have a mailing list that newsletter also gets sent to. And that's more like daily emails, kind of overhandling objections and giving member wins.
Yep. I'd love for you to break this down and just kind of get your thoughts. So again, this was for Black Friday.
Okay.
Typically, we do at least 2 to 3 of these integrations a month on YouTube. either in like just a solo interview with a big
Yep.
entrepreneur, or like where we'll go to a city and interview like 4 big people. But so this is kind of what it's like.
Guys, this interview with PBD has been amazing so far. We're about to get right back to it, but I've got a very, very special announcement to make real quick. So a couple months ago, I launched and created one of the largest entrepreneur communities in the entire world, the School of Mentors, where every single week I host live calls with the millionaires and the billionaires that I interview on this channel, where the members inside of the community, you guys that join, have the ability to ask your questions and speak directly to the millionaires and the billionaires that I interview, so you can get the necessary knowledge that you need, where you can learn skills. For example, some of the mentors I've had on calls were people like Todd Napola, who owns over $500 million worth of real estate, and he taught our community how to get access to capital and create wealth in real estate without a ton of money. Or how about Sean Mike, who's done over $3 billion in sales throughout his career. He taught our community the art of sales and how to negotiate. Or even James Keys, the CEO of not one but 2 multi-billion-dollar companies, Blockbuster and 7-Eleven. He taught our community leadership, team building, and how to find the right people to help grow your business. Guys, if there's anything that I've learned over the last 3 years in building a multi-billion-dollar network, interviewing over 1,000 millionaires and over 10 billionaires, it's that there's only one shortcut to success in today's world, and that's mentorship.
Love that. Love that. I see why it did good. And I want to give you a little advice on that one. You could, so people make decisions, write this down, for 2 reasons. They're either moving away from pain or moving towards pleasure, right? Not to oversimplify. They're moving away from pain or they're moving towards pleasure. That's why we all make decisions in our life. I want to get out of something that's uncomfortable, or life's not so bad, but I needed to make it better, right? Think about the people who come in. I'm in a job I hate. I'm in a dead-end career. I've been trying my own business for months. I need to get out of this. I need to move away from this pain of my current career or income not working. True?
Correct.
And other people are like, life's not bad, but I'd love to learn skills to make 100 grand a month, not 10 grand a month. Yeah. They're moving towards a bigger future. It's the stick and the carrot. When I see that, you did a great job of getting people that are carrot motivated, meaning I want a bigger future. But what you missed completely is the people that want to move away from pain, right? So there's another thing you should write down is people buy from you when they feel understood, not just when they understand you. Now, it was a great presentation. I mean this, I'm not knocking it, but just been doing this every day. Good. I loved your energy. That's the way that energy, if you watch my old videos, that's exactly how I used to do it. Yeah. If you watch me do an offer now, it's much more relaxed. Did you watch the McConaughey event I did when I made the offer for him? It was right here, by the way. That's where we built this deck for him. But it was very relaxed and calm because I know the pain and I knew what my ideal client was facing. I knew the problem they wanted to solve, right? So the thing I would say is you should make a list of all the problems that your ideal client want to solve and how you solve them. So you said, and I mean it, fantastic job. Right? So let's just say you have a promotion on YouTube, you have a story promotion, you have a newsletter, you have an email list, you do something like that with Patrick Bet David or somebody else, and you have all these ways you're driving people to this page, right? Imagine in that feeling less like you have to do a promotion, because you'd feel better on it. And I promise you're going to see a massive difference. If you just said, hey, I know what it feels like because I've interviewed so many people. I know what it feels like when you know you're meant for more. Like there's something else. Like this career isn't meant for you. This entrepreneurship that you're trying just isn't working. And I know what it's like to say, is this all life has to offer? Like I get that. It's probably why I went in this with my brother and my friend, and we do this is because so many people have such high potential. And I'm not giving you a pitch, but you feel like Dale Carnegie said the greatest plight of the human race is knowing you have more potential and you don't utilize it. If that's you, I want to tell you, I get that. And that's why me, my brother, and our team created something that can give you the capabilities to live into that man or that woman you're meant to be, not the one you're settling to be, right? So now you're entering the pain they're feeling, and you know this by the surveys that you do. I would start asking, what's the biggest thing you fear? I guarantee is this all life's got to have? Like to give. I know I'm meant for more. I want to provide for my family. I want to retire my parents. I want my girlfriend to look at me through a different lens. You need to hit those points, not just I interview millionaires and billionaires and you can get their stuff because the bridge is too far, right? Like you're asking me you're going to tell me a guy that did $3 billion in sales and he's going to teach me to sell better. Shit, I don't even know if I can pay the mortgage next month. right? And you're leaving that whole group of them going, oh, this is pretty awesome, but it's not for me. But if you stop for a minute, like, believe me, I know I'm only 20 something years old and I haven't been on this earth a long time, and you should address that. But I've been blessed to hyper speed that by interviewing the most successful people in the world. And there's common threads. Is there not common threads?
Absolutely.
For sure.
Well, you guys are doing so well because you are compounding your results with your own mentorship. Like you're living, breathing byproducts of what you're selling. And you're like, we got mentored by accident because I got to interview all these people, but you don't have access to it, but we have access to the collective. And I know what it feels like to be stuck. I know what it feels like when you might look at your parents and say, I wish I could help them. I know what like you look at your significant other and say, God, I wish I could retire them. They could stay home, maybe have a baby, right? Like, I don't know you know your ideal demographic. Enter conversations inside their head, know their problems and discuss that. So that's the move away from the pain, and then go on to what you said. And here's how we find those answers. We have people like this, we have people like that, we have people like that. And all of a sudden you're getting both groups.
Did you like how I use like the specific examples?
I do.
Like bringing this person to teach this.
I do.
You know.
I do. And if not that I want to make it longer, but if you had the opportunity, if you knew somebody, if you knew their little bit of their hero's journey, if you said, hey, there's a guy that did 3 billion in sales and he's going to show you how to sell the way he did. Like, imagine if you said, there's a guy, he's done 3 billion in sales. And when he was 26 years old, he was flat broke and his girlfriend left him. Right. He didn't know what he was going to do with his life. So he went from there where you might be right now. And now he's going to teach you. All of a sudden you got both, right? So somebody who's doing 3 billion in sales and he's going to teach me how to sell. It's like, shit, I don't have my product yet. Really cool for somebody else.
So I'm curious. So you have one side of the audience that is trying to improve their life, and the other one that's trying to move away from pain.
Yeah.
Right. Should you do separate pitches? For in one video, it's one more catered for one
You sure
audience,
could.
and then
You sure
one
could.
is
What I
catered-
was going to tell you is you could do both, or you could actually do both sides. You have the opportunity. I mean, most people that want to get out of pain, take weight loss. Some people want to lose weight. You boys, and I hope me too, I want to just keep getting in better shape in my life. Right. So some people are moving away from pain. I'm 40 pounds overweight. I can't play with my kids anymore. I'm starting to get diabetes, right? Might seem different, but it's not. They want to move away just to be okay healthy. But when they get healthy, are they going to stop there? No, now they want to get in good shape and run their first 5K and then a marathon, right? So most people that want to move away from pain want the pain to go away and then they want abundance. So it's easy to start with, hey, I know what it's like to feel stuck. And I've been there. That's why XYZ, your mentor for people. But once you get momentum, then they want to excel. So you can move away from pain and move towards all in the same ad, but I would target both and then measure each. And I would bet to say you have more people on that lower, the under 10 grand.
Yeah.
All of them want to move away from pain. You lean into that more, that group will explode.
I have a couple quick thoughts.
Sure.
Our VSL on the page, it does that a little bit. We kind of tell how
Great.
we were flat broke, young, but then we started interviewing these mentors and they
Love
helped pull us out. We did a story on Christmas basically saying that like, hey, if you're in the same spot that you were last Christmas, this Christmas,
Love it.
it performed really well. And I think we need to do more of that stuff.
Yeah.
The third thing is that welcome call. Before they book the call, they have to fill out a survey where they enter their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Our community managers go over that on the call. I think when they enter their weaknesses, that might be a better way for us to be able to pull on that more and
Absolutely.
just figure out what their core problems are.
I love it. And that should translate up into your marketing.
Yes.
But so
Right.
you recommend like coming with more like relaxed tone.
I
Well,
do,
you're not
only
doing
because
that.
if you watch my first 10 years of infomercials,
Yeah.
what you just did, and we were the same exact energy.
Yeah.
And I used to watch Tony Robbins when I was a kid, right? Not kid, I was your age, I'd watch Tony. And I used to think Tony talked fast and loud. Watch Tony, he doesn't. He's just got so much intensity that when you're watching him, you think he's loud and scream. He's not. It's very calm, but he's so definitive in his words. So I would say if I was giving advice to me at your age, I'd say definitely do ads with that exact energy you showed me. But try one with a really casual. Like try one really casual. Go like, hey, I get it. I hope you guys really enjoy the inspiration. And I would try that inspiration versus transformation in a really casual pitch. I hope we get to inspire.
Almost sounds empathetic.
Yeah, like I hope we inspire you for the rest of our lives. And I hope you've been inspired by some of the interviews. Yeah. But we realize a lot of people being inspired, we're not doing you a service. We're doing you a disservice. Because you get inspired, but then you go back to the life you don't love. Mm. So that's why we work together as a team to help create transformation. And I literally say sometimes, one of one of the most common threads, and you could start asking every entrepreneur, one of the most common threads of all successful entrepreneurs is they cut checks for speed. All entrepreneurs. You'll never meet an entrepreneur that didn't pay for a mentor, pay for training, pay for a coach, pay for the right people, the right person, the right hire, right? We pay for speed. I know I'm all over the place, but I know you guys are getting it.
This is great.
So let's get back to the way. So you're driving people through all these different channels. What I would consider is breaking apart your demographics. You said before, should we do a move away ad and a move towards ad? Sure, try that, but I think you can combine those. What I would consider is targeting brand new entrepreneurs and doing one just for them, right? Like target one just for them. And then I would consider targeting somebody exclusively who's doing $10,000 or more. Because sometimes when you're the one size fits all, like you don't want to go to a doctor and you say, I had this last year from a skiing accident with my son, but I tore my rotator cuff and I tore my ACL, right? I don't want to go to a doctor that says, hey, come to me. I can help you with the flu. I can help you with your ACL. I can help you with your rotator cuff. And hey, if you want better vitamin, like I don't want that. I want an expert.
Want a specialist.
Yeah, I want a specialist to go, no. You have an ACL? All I do is ACL.
Yep.
Right? I don't want the guy to be like, yeah, let's just do it all at once. Like, no.
If you have a heart problem, you don't want to go to a general doctor. You want a cardiologist.
I want a cardiologist. So if you go, hey, if you're just starting out, you want to go to the next level. Hey, if you're doing 10 grand a month or 10 grand or more, we're for you. They're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're not for me. You're for everybody. I don't want any more general knowledge, even though they actually need it. Because sometimes you have to sell people what they want and actually give them what they need. They need mentorship by people who've already been there, right?
Yes.
But some of them are a little too smart for that. So I would consider having separate ads for those demographics.
Because if you're pitching to everybody, you're pitching
to nobody.
Yeah.
Right? So if we can make these more specific, and then as you evolve, you might want to have a slightly different landing page for that group.
When you're running specific offers, you
right.
change
If you might want
to
to say, hey, we know our best members are doing $10,000 a month or more. You might want to have an offer sequence and a page and all for that group, right? Listen, and I mean this, you guys built an entire skill set. I said this earlier. You built an entire skill set on being able to have 10 million followers across all platforms. Insane. This is a whole new skill set. And you're asking the right questions. You care about your clients. You don't want to just slam them into something and feel like you're abandoning them. But I think if you selling a service, inspiration versus transformation, you realize you're doing them a solid by creating this. Let me ask you, so you're doing, whether it's a 7-day trial or straight, do they have the opportunity? So someone says yes, right? So driving people, you got the eyeballs. We just want to drive more people consistently in a variety of ways, right? But so we don't spend too much time here. When someone says yes to either $40 or $39 a month or the trial, what's the next thing that happens?
They get, once their card gets accepted, they go through, they're put in the community, and the first thing they see is the new members.
Okay, so
here.
do they have the opportunity to upgrade for a year?
They do.
Yes.
Okay.
25%
That's on
discount.
the landing page. And then also once they're within the community, you can upgrade from there as well.
Gotcha. So on this page, is it 2 options?
Yes.
So
Once they press like the checkout button, pretty much.
Gotcha. What I would suggest, and that's great, you have a control number. What percentage take the yearly?
Probably like, I don't know, just about under 10%.
Under 10%? What I would consider is making this page all about the one thing, either $39 a month or the trial, with no other options. Zero. Like I have this crazy obsession with one choice, right? And in most cases, it's one. So on that page, if there's just one choice, it's a free trial for 7 days, or if it's $39 a month, right? I would consider a one-click upsell test, right? Just test it. You can call me and say that was terrible, it didn't work, but I would test a one-click upsell, and it should be a video and go something like this. Hey, you're in, congratulations. On the next page is everything you need to get started, our onboarding process. You're absolutely gonna love it, and you're in. But if you're an achiever like me, if you're all in and you want to commit to transforming your life, on this page right now, we'll do something we don't do any other place. You can upgrade to the entire year. We'll not only take 25% off, we'll throw in this XYZ bonus. I think you'll double your conversions to yearly. So I would consider testing just only one option here and then an immediate upsell. Make sense? Yeah. So then then it goes to your onboarding process, right? Confirmation and onboarding?
Yes.
Is that what's next?
Yes. So there's a post on the community
Yeah.
that says new members start here. And then they're also sent a direct message on the platform telling them to book their call and check out the post.
Great. Is there anything you tell them to do while they're waiting for the call?
Yes.
Go watch a video? Is there?
Yes. So once they've booked the call, they're waiting for the call. Check out the post. On the post, it says make your introduction. Reminder, if you haven't booked your call, book your call. And then go to the welcome course, which is 3 modules. 1, it's an official welcome video from him. A walkthrough from me, kind of explaining everything that's in the community and how they can find value. And the 3rd would be how to get started on the on-demand content while you're waiting for your welcome call.
Okay, so I would include something extremely inspiration in there first. Or like, is there a favorite video, training, interview that you've done that really juices people up?
I'd say instead of in classroom, maybe like the Caitlin one. People love Caitlin.
Yeah, there's a speaker named Caitlin O'Toole. She's probably everyone's favorite. Yeah, they love her.
So what I'm thinking is, think of the emotional side of the brain and the logical side of the brain. You probably inspire them in your first video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it inspirational or is it more just
The welcome video?
It is. Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if the welcome is inspirational, great. But then they go through the walkthrough, and then the 3rd thing is how to access the courses. It goes to the logical side of the brain. They start thinking, oh, am I going to have time to do all this? Am I going to have time to walk through these courses? Oh, there's a lot of shit in this thing. Man, is there a way to say, hey, on your onboarding call, we're going to do this, this, and this? I would test saying, before we do anything, go watch this 12-minute video with Caitlin. Is that her name?
Yes, Caitlin.
Caitlin, or this interview I did with so-and-so. Something that puts them back into that state of, I can do this. I'm meant for this. This is for me. And I'm almost thinking, this is all stuff you test. So think about this. Most people test all their marketing. What I always like to share, and you guys should look at this, like marketing takes all this stuff. We're testing all these different things. We're testing this page, testing if it's a 1-click upsell, if it's a $1 trial, free trial. 1 year or is the 1 year 1-click upsell. We test all of this, and then most people build a fulfillment and do one thing. Like, so if you think, I used to go like this to everybody, if it takes this much work to acquire the client, you should do the same amount of work to keep the client. It should be equal.
It's great advice.
Right? But we don't do it. None of us do it. It took me years to figure that out. Like marketing, ads, doing all this stuff. We get the client, go, great. Oh, they're only sticking for 5 months. Okay, let me go get more clients. Your energy goes back to this rather than keeping the clients that you have.
You know why I love that as well is because I think something that encourages is referrals. Because if your product is so good, I feel like it sells itself because their friends are going to tell their other friends.
Right, and they don't know. My only fear is they might not know how good your course is if they get overwhelmed with too many things to do right away.
The whole curriculum.
Yeah, so what I would consider doing is doing something that's like, hey, we got this great curriculum. We're going to share that on the welcome call. Know that you're going to have access to this and not be careful you're not sharing what they get. Share the outcomes. Remember this is crucial. Sometimes you get this training part, you get this hub with all these trainings that you get. It's like, hey, the first part, we're going to show you through these interviews how to unlock the greatest version of you. Right? These courses are designed to give you a path and a plan to never be stuck again. Right? Look at offers. You'll see offers on TV now. Tony, my partner Tony always calls them Ginsu knife offers. You get 2 knives, you get 7 knives, you get knives for your sister-in-law, you get the knife sharpener. Ginsu knife used to be an ad that ran like crazy when we were younger. You're probably too young to remember it. But sometimes we don't realize we get into, this is all the stuff our community will give you. Rather, what is the outcome? And and it'd be great if you could tag some testimonials along the way, right? In that first, some of those. So imagine they say yes, they get a great welcome video. Maybe they get a quick one and say, hey, we're going to walk through all the benefits that you have, but watch this first. And there's some kind of like, make their toes tingle, like I could do this video. And then maybe followed up with a couple testimonials. And then maybe you drip the next thing and you drip the next thing. I'm just afraid you might be getting people to go, I don't have time
Our
for this.
walkthrough is way too logical brain. It's not
Now that I say
emotional at all.
now that I say that
Yeah.
to you, you understand?
It
Like,
makes sense.
and
Our
I'm
walkthrough's all
not a
logical.
logical brain kind of guy. When I get to logic, I freak out. I'm like, I can't. I just want it easy. Remember this: simplicity on the other side of complexity. Your membership is complex, but you got to make it so simple. They're like, oh, I'm staying here. Shit, yeah.
I will say, a majority of the members on the calls, they love the mindset questions.
That's what they want.
That's what they want.
People would pay. Here's something to remember. Most of the time when we think we want to serve our clients in our memberships sites, we add more stuff. People that are really good take shit away.
Wow.
Wow. And do you think that helps them focus more on like the...
Yeah, because we're all busy, right?
Right.
Like if I go, I'm going to extract value, but I got to do this and do that and do the thing and do this, and then there's some modules to go through, and then I walk through the 3-step course. He made me feel good on that last interview. I don't feel so good right now. I feel overwhelmed. I don't think I can do this.
If there's too much stuff, they feel like they don't get the full value of the membership because they can't access it all.
Listen, we have people, of course we have membership. Mastermind is a membership company. And we have the best technology on the planet for helping people extract and build a course, a workshop, a mastermind. Hands down, Tony and I have been doing it 74 years. If we don't know how to do it now, we should quit, right? And we got an amazing platform. But every Monday I go live with an inspirational message. It's the number one thing. Like, we have tools. Every tool you could possibly imagine is in the software, and more people show up just to be inspired. And that inspiration can turn to transformation. So I think if you met them where they are, right? So if you really think through the client, I've watched this guy, I see all the interviews, I want more out of life, I'm sick of struggling, I feel like I'm stuck. Screw it, I'm going in. I'm cutting a check for speed, I'm gonna pay attention, I'm cutting a check for $39. But is it really worth $39? Maybe it is. I don't know, these guys are young, but it sounds pretty cool. I don't know, let me see. It's like, think about they're in that state. What would you wanna see in that spot, right? Just think through that lens. If it's too much getting them back into their logical mind, then they're logically thinking about the money. Right?
Yes.
So if we think of, there's emotional marketing and there's transactional marketing. And if you get them too much in their logic, they start thinking of the transaction, not the connection, not the team. So I would be thinking about when they first come on, letting them feel they're a part of something bigger than themselves. They're not alone anymore on this journey. That you have capabilities, you have skills. We understand where you are. That's why we have tools that can get you X, Y, and Z. This is why we have courses that can get you X, Y, and Z. This is why we do, without walking them through, this is why we do interviews every week so you can have the skills and the capabilities. You are a part of an amazing family. In fact, before we do anything further, go watch this video and put something in there that just lights their asses up. And at the end, again, if you didn't schedule your call, let's schedule it. And this week, we'll send you some things to walk you through so you can make sure to utilize all the pieces.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched on YouTube. We found that those integrations work extremely well. But again, when you look at our YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, despite YouTube converting the best, it's our smallest platform. Granted, it's longer form, so people are spending more content, are more likely to convert. But I still look at Instagram has 4.5 million, TikTok has 3.5 million. I don't think me posting a reel going, hey guys, just want to let you all know that if you want to learn, I don't think that's it. I think that you keep the main content, but in a way, with the interviews getting the reach that they're getting, right? Because our story posts may do, let's say, 200 to 500,000 views.
Amazing.
But our average reel may do 3 to 10 million views. Is there a way in which you would see us integrating it within the interview? Maybe me asking the person I'm interviewing about mentorship towards the end. And
of course, that'd be
just
great.
Indirectly saying, I actually created one of the biggest entrepreneur communities where people can learn directly from. Is that kind of like,
I love that.
I'm curious, how would you
That's the subtle things that time gives you.
Right.
Right? Like, time will give you'll find a way to be elegant in that ask. Maybe at the end, you don't do it with everybody, but a lot of people, you go, how important, and you could mix these up. How important is a mentor?
Yeah.
Right? How important is it to model proven practices? How important is it to learn from somebody who's already done what you want to do? Like they could be a part of your questions, and eventually you could be really subtle and just, have a subtle plug and if you'd like help with a mentor, we've worked really hard to do it. Link is in the bio, right? It doesn't have to be a hardcore, right? It doesn't have to be hardcore. Some of the most subtle call to actions work, especially if if you think of a really good live event, it's not about doing a live event and then having a really good offer. It's about making the whole live event, answering those questions, opening up a gap. So by the time you get to the offer, they're already thinking, I hope he's got something else. So if you did an interview like fastest way to get successful, mentorship, modeling proven practices, and at the end say, hey, we know that's the common thread. That's why we created something for you. Links in the bio, right?
I like that.
Those subtle, so just start testing all those little pieces and you'll get feedback like too much, not enough, but if it starts crushing sales. What I want to do before we end this, I want to share with you kind of an escalation model. Is that making sense on the onboarding?
Absolutely.
I think less is more.
It's huge.
Less is more.
How they feel.
It's how they feel, not what they get. Just remember that. And this is years of doing this. We did live events for years. We were doing 30, 40 live events a week forever. And I hired secret shoppers to go to all my events around the country. And I said, don't tell me what they get. I know we deliver the best programs in the world. Tell me how they feel at each level, right? And what we were finding is people were going in the bathroom saying, this sounds good, but I don't know where to start. It just seems too, and we took all that feedback and just simplified it. And what people want is they want to be inspired. They want to realize, you ready for this one? They want to know they are enough, they know enough, and with the right information, they could do this. I know that sounds really simple, but if it's too much, like, I don't know if I'm good enough for business. I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if, so you got to keep holding their hand. New entrepreneurs are completely different than somebody crushing 100 grand a month, right? They've already proven the model. They already know that it's possible, right? So just a little bit different crowds. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
Yeah. So let's talk about, you're going to try subtle shifts in driving people there.
Yes. You're
going to try to not geo-target, but try to target the different demographics with a little bit subtle different message, right? Try one option here with the 1 year as an upsell, and then try it on the page. Just see which one works better.
Could I just ask one thing?
Sure.
So before, I know we want to keep moving on this, but if you could, I know you've done a lot of things with email over the years. If you could just give us one piece of advice or one takeaway you've learned from over the years that you think would be a lesson to us that you think could help.
One thing is 3 value emails to every offer, at least. Meaning get people, in the old days when there was actual mailboxes and you went to a mailbox, you'd go to the post office, you'd grab your mail. Think of it this way, right? And you'd be like, garbage, 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 garbage. Oh, it's a bill. Garbage, garbage, garbage. Oh, that's a note from a family. Garbage, 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 right? Think of email, how we're getting slammed. Yeah. How do you become the email that stays on the shelf? And that's by delivering the majority of your emails have something in there that's powerful and value-based. Maybe you already do that. But if all your emails are about, and you don't do this, but like I even see big companies, all their emails they send to you is Black Friday offer and this offer and a discount offer and make sure to get a friend in. You're just like, it's every time they send me something, it's promotional, it goes in the garbage. But if you send a couple emails a month that are extremely valuable, like I better open that, man. These guys, they learn something from Patrick Bet-David, or they learn something from Tony Robbins, they learn something from this guy. Even if they're little quotes or they're one-liners, just get them used to opening your emails.
Just that inspiration, that emotion that it's about.
Yeah, because they see something from you guys, they go, oh, it's always good shit in there.
Yeah.
Right? So that there's a million things. Have a good hook, test headlines obsessively, test click-through rate obsessively. But the fact of the matter is, if you send too many just offers or discounts, they're going to get used to that and they're not going to open it in the first place. Make sense?
Yes. That's great. Thank you so much.
You got it. Because your whole job, this new level, new devil, your whole job is maximizing this, maximizing this, maximizing this, maximizing this. And that's the cool part is you guys are already on third base. Like legit, you're on third base. You got the eyeballs. Now it's how to elegantly get them to here. Then once they get here, how do you serve them and get them to say, yes, it's testing and tweaking this, it's testing this. And then the next evolution, right? And then obviously it's the onboarding so they stay. The next evolution, we call this a value ladder. right? But let's just say, and maybe there's another one up here. Let's just say on a value ladder, there's free. And this is what you guys have mastered more than anyone on the planet, right? You're giving free inspiration all the time. You're interviewing great people. You're putting it on Instagram. You got clippings all over the place. You got YouTube crushing it. You got all these things that deliver value for free. Check, right? Right? This is YouTube and Instagram and where else?
TikTok,
right?
LinkedIn,
Facebook.
LinkedIn.
Right. So think of, you're giving all this value for free. So you are putting inspiration out there. Now you guys just decided to do a membership, right?
Yep.
And it's $39 a month, right?
Yep.
And this helps people with skills and capabilities and learning from the best and modeling proven practices, right?
Yep.
They have courses, they have trainings, and you're serving them. Do they get a lot more from here than they would for here?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, right?
Yep.
Let's take it in mind. Inspiration, transformation,
Correct.
right? The next evolution, I don't know what you guys want to do, but the next evolution is accountability, right? I watched some workout videos, right? It's good, but I'm not sticking to the plan. So screw it. I joined a gym. It's $39 a month. I don't think any gyms are $39 a month, but I joined a gym. Now I have access to all the things that can transform my life. But this is kind of do it on my own. Do it yourself. This is DIY. Just think of this as DIY. And there's some people that can crush it just from this.
What is DIY?
Do it yourself.
Okay.
Right? So there's some people that get involved in the membership. If they have access to stuff, they dive in and like, I learned from this one, I learned from that one, I learned that training. They're implementing, they're working. Some people go to the gym and they stand around and they look at all the equipment. What do they need? What do most people need to get in really good shape?
Coach.
They need a trainer, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm sharing with you guys, this is not about boo-ha-ha, what can I sell them next?
Yeah.
I promise you there are people in this group that are dying right now for somebody to keep them accountable, to be coached, to be a part of something bigger. They want to evolve. And what I would suggest to you guys is, what do you like? What do you want that to be?
We have an idea for an offer that we're sort of putting together. So what we're thinking is obviously it's great. We get these great big, 8-9 figure, even billionaire entrepreneurs to come speak to the current membership. But I think people connect and are able to learn a lot more from someone that's more on like the 6-7 figure level. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of wanting to put together a sort of a panel of, 8, 10, 15 different coaches. I wouldn't say mentors, but like coaches that are regularly coming on calls. In the lower ticket one, it's, a mentor comes on and you don't really hear from them again. But in this one, it would be somebody that's coming on like once every 2 weeks that you can hop on and continue to build from. And so it'd be almost like a call every day on a different segment of business or with a certain particular coach that's a part of this community.
I think that's a great end. What I would consider, I believe we're going to transition where people are dying to be back in proximity, right? You guys kind of, God, when COVID, how old were you when COVID hit?
I was 20.
You're probably in high school, right?
Like 18.
Yeah, right? You guys don't even realize that COVID shifted us to such a virtual world where we do so many Zooms. Before, people love being around other people in person that feel like they do, that have the same challenges they do, that are learning like they do. So I would consider doing something that your generation doesn't do a lot, is something like that virtual that's combined with a once a year or a twice a year in person.
In person.
I would consider do it because it would be a different breakout. And the cool part is you already have your model. Like, think of the different models. You could do a live event where you're up on stage sharing your best stuff and you get great speakers to come in to share stuff. You can also do it a little bit more like a workshop / mastermind, or at a higher level, they're coming in and they're broken out in maybe tables of 5, and there's work at each of the tables. Like we were saying earlier, they're working with each other. There's still speakers, there's still training. You can highlight any of your top students that are doing well. You bring them up on stage, but you can make it a little bit like a mastermind where the collective group kind of bonds together. But I would consider a next level of something that has more consistent training, be able to access, feels more like a mentorship or a coaching that also comes with a yearly in-person mastermind or workshop.
I did some interviews with some members that I made a post in the community, said, hey, we're thinking about building out something more in-depth coaching.
Yep.
If you're interested, I did some interviews. The number one thing that people wanted was some sort of like one-on-one and accountability.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The next one is accountability, right? So if you can create, here's another thing. Most people think they need one-on-one. They actually don't. They need small group accountability. People, remember this forever, that people actually do better in small groups because they not only are they learning from the coach, they're learning from other people, and they don't want to be the loser of the group. Yep. They don't want to be like, hey, there's 5 of us here and you doubled your income and I didn't. So actually group coaching, small group coaching is actually more powerful.
So would you apply, so like I kind of said, we were thinking about bringing on 10 to 15 coaches. One, we're still trying to figure out how to, convince 10 to 15 people to be part of this monthly thing without having to like spend a ton of money to get them on board to do it. But also, if we get a bunch of people in there, like, is it one coach per bunch of people, or is it each of these people would be good at a different topic? Like we would coach on content, but like we would have people in there that are, someone's good at hiring, someone's good at ads, someone's good at this, at mindset, things like that.
I mean, if you think about it, you could have.
I don't want to complicate it.
Yeah,
too
you could.
much,
No, but you have a training a day on the most important things they need to learn. Like, pick 3 things you're going to share. We're going to share content. I don't know what's 2 other topics.
Probably like operations and hiring, like systems.
Okay.
Kind of probably like one.
And marketing.
And then like marketing.
Right. So I would say maybe you got some people. You could probably pay somebody really amazing if they went live once a week. Maybe you could pay them $300 for the hour, $400 for the hour, but they only do 2 hours a week because they're doing it in groups, right? So you could. That's one model for sure. You could do 3 in person, or you could do 3 workshops a year. 2 are virtual on Facebook, on Zoom, and 1 in person. There's a lot of models that you could do here. I would see the one that fits you guys. What would you guys like to do? Because another one I'll tell you, you guys are going to have success with this. Don't pick something you don't like. Don't pick something with too big of a tail. Like, oh, I don't want to do all that. But if you love being in proximity, you love being around people, you love running an events, I would pick this next thing you pick is crucially important. What were you thinking the price point was?
Like 10K a year.
10K a year. I was thinking
Annual.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you want to call this?
School of Scaling.
Okay.
Instead of School of Mentors, and that name's in workshop as well. But it's really what we're doing is people that want to go the scale.
And this is accountability, right?
Yes. And we have one that we thought of beyond this as well, which I can mention. But obviously, this is more important because it's the next step.
So what was the next one?
The next one would be definitely more of a more intimate mastermind that is in person.
It'd be crazy not to do it.
Yeah.
It'd be crazy not to do it.
I think we were thinking about doing like an income requirement.
You should.
It's like
Absolutely.
7-figure on
7-figure.
Absolutely. So let's just say, what do you think of that? 25 grand, 30 grand?
Probably 30 grand a year.
Okay. So this is 10K.
Or maybe even 50.
And this is, say, 50K?
30 to 50.
30K.
Let's just, okay. Let's just put, how about 40 just for
Sure.
Cool.
40K. And this is your mastermind. And what I'd say is build out one at a time.
100%.
Right? We all overestimate what we can do in a year, underestimate what we can do in 5.
Yes.
Right? Let this be a natural progression.
I think that goes on to that product and customer delivery as well. You really want to make sure that
Exactly. Don't go to that, because they won't if they don't love this, they're not going to go here.
Yep.
And if they don't love this, they're not going to go here.
Correct.
So make sure you dial this in, right? If you put together what you think this is, shoot it over to me. It's all I've been doing forever. It's what we teach our clients every single day, is how to do this. But I want to show you some math that'll blow your mind. So you guys are doing amazing stuff for free. Love it. So how many members do you have?
We have 3,400 right now.
Okay. So let's just, let's go round numbers. Let's just say you get to 5,000 members, right? So if you have 5,000 members here, amazing, you're growing, you're halfway to your goal, right? If this is done rightly, you knock their socks off, 10% will upgrade here, could be 20, but let's just say 10% of these 5,000 go here, okay? What's 10% of 5,000? So you got your phone on you?
Yeah.
Who's got a calculator on?
Go ahead, John.
I should have just done 10,000. It'd be easier. What's 5,000 times 39, what's 5 times 4 is,
195 grand.
yeah, 200 grand. Let's just say it's 200 grand. Okay, you want to get to 10 million, right? That's the goal.
Yes.
10,000 members, $10 million a year, right? So now you're at 200 grand a month. That's a month, right?
Yes.
That's 2.4 million a year.
Correct.
Okay. Now, if 10% of them, which is 500, right? 500 times 10,000 is what?
5 million.
5 million. So now all of a sudden, you got 5 million, right? And what is 1% of 5,000 is 50, right? What's 50 times 40,000?
2 million.
We're at 9.4 million with only 5,000 members. That's the math.
Figure out how to convert 10% of the low ticket into.
If you put 10,000 people in here, you guys will be doing $20 million a year next year. You could go into 2026 doing 20 million bucks.
Yeah.
And the way you got, look at those smiles, right? This is what most people don't get. It's math, right? It's math. And what I want to tell you, which will shift everything when you start thinking through the lens of service, do not ever think, oh, I'm giving this free. What can I sell them? What can I sell them next? What else can I sell them? It's like the different tiers of how you can serve them. I promise you, there are people in here right now that if you don't offer this, they're going to go find it from somebody else because they're going to go, this has inspired me, but I need help.
Well, what do you always say? What do you always say about like if you don't do it?
Oh, if not I, then who?
No,
Yeah.
like if you don't do it for them, then somebody else is gonna.
Right. No.
do it.
So
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, you have people in here right now online looking for this program
Yes.
because they want accountability. They want to go deeper. They
And-
want the people who are
and
making 10 grand or more.
There's numerous people in that community that have 6-7 figure businesses.
Seven-figure.
And what I would consider is you should create an application process to upgrade them and let's see how many people raise their hand, start talking about this in here, right?
At what point do you, like an idea that just we met with Neil Patel, we did an interview with him, met with him for a bit. One of the things that he kind of had suggested is like, when you're going through that sequence, like get the like revenue numbers is at some
a great
point in
idea.
time would you recommend doing
Absolutely.
that? Because then you could figure
Absolutely.
out
Then
who
you
kind of
target
for
you
the,
target the people for here,
Right.
so you don't have to ask somebody who's making no money if they want to be here and have them feel bad about themselves.
right.
You should absolutely do that. So we don't. If we had all day, it'd be
Is
different.
that in the community or is that prior to them getting in?
So I would say probably
think
on the
about
way into the
partnering with
community.
the sales team, and they get like we already have a couple people we might work with, and give them like 15-20% commission of the upsell there.
They'll need at least 20 or 22 to pay all their people and make something.
And like we have a fourth partner in this model, not everything else, but in this school and mentor specifically. And he pretty much said that like they don't want to talk to, they need to talk to the people that are going to pay.
Right. So that's why I think 10% is a very fair number, even if it was 7%, right? And the top 1% from the top, even if that was 0.7%, you're still 3/4 of the way there to your goal with only less than double the members you have right now.
Yep.
Right. So think about at 10,000 as this compounds. So I would absolutely, and then you realize that the better you do this, right? The machine that you guys have already built. Now, how do I obsess on improving all of these pieces so they convert more, which gets more people into this membership? And then how do I blow them away? How do I onboard them in a way where they love it, they stick, they stay? And how do you serve the people that aren't ready to upgrade, but also seed the fact, hey, this is amazing, but if you want accountability, this is what we've created. And get, 8% to 10% of them to upgrade here, work with them like crazy, and maybe 1 year from today, you launch a $40,000 mastermind, or 8 months from today, you launch this, you go into 2026 with this. You guys, I'm going to predict at the end of 2026, if you guys put this in play, you'll be at 30 million bucks going into 2027. Could be more. Without feeling like you're pressing hard. If you were going to blow up your brand, you could be at 20 million bucks in 6 months, right? But that's what so many people do wrong. They go from one extreme to another. Yep. I would slowly learn your way in. Learn we're pushing too hard is not good. Learn where you got to push a little harder. Shift that mindset from selling to service, inspiration to transformation to accountability, right? When you think that evolution, it's like inspiration, right? Transformation, accountability, and this is like connection. This is peer-to-peer. This is where you get in a room, like Tony and I right now have a $250,000 a year mastermind. We call it Zenith. It's invite only, referral only. It's grown. We have 20 members. We just launched it. We're going to cap it at either 50 or 100, but it's attracting people who are doing 40, 50, 60 million a year, and they want to be around like-minded people. A great mastermind isn't necessarily who's in the room, it's who's not in the room. It's not disrespectful, but it's like, hey, if I'm doing 10 million a year, I love starting entrepreneurs, but I'm not going to learn from somebody who's just doing their first couple of sales, right? I want to be in a different room. I like being in a room where I feel like the brokest person in the room, right? All makes sense, guys?
Yes.
That was amazing.
What was your biggest takeaways? And we'll wrap this up.
Inspiration leads to transformation. I feel like oftentimes throughout our pitches and everything, or even just servicing the members, we're a little bit too logical. And I think that if we can really focus more on that emotional aspect and more really just connecting and building community, that's going to lead to the biggest transformation and lead to members having the best results.
We're addressing the members that are wanting to chase the carrot, but we're not marketing enough to the people that are trying to get away from pain. And if we really emphasize that, then we'll be able to get a lot more.
And it bonds you with people immediately too. Yeah. They feel connected, like he understands me.
Another thing too is that clearly just by looking at the numbers, that if we don't offer that next level, the accountability step, someone else is going to come in and take a massive part of our potential revenue that we can bring to the business.
I had a couple really big takeaways. One, when you talked about like great memberships, they don't add shit. They focus on taking shit away because it allows people to focus on like the core of like why they're really in there. Also, the thing about, I think you said it was Carnegie that said that the greatest plague in the human is like that
knowing you have more potential,
right? So like, in other words, like tapping into that, like the inaction and like finding a way to like get everybody inspired and motivated to do that. And also when you said that like, hey, we got to ensure that like in our welcome course that people are going through, that it's not just, oh, go watch this video, but like finding a way to constantly make them feel like inspired to actually go and do those things. And then again, like you said, touching on the pain points, because all of our marketing up to this point, especially on YouTube, has primarily just been, you get to talk to this person,
you get this,
as opposed to it's like,
I get it. I know where you are.
Are you tired of being sick and tired?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I think you guys have such a great opportunity in front of you, and you're in a generation where people need it so bad, right? You're in a generation where you especially, is your demographic 20s and 30s?
25 to 35 is our average, and then it on the two tail ends of that it fluctuates, but mainly it's like early 20s to mid 30s.
Yeah. So inspire. One of the greatest quotes I got from Og Mandino in the book The World's Greatest Salesman.
Yeah.
I love when he says, scroll number 3, I think it is I will persist until I succeed.
Okay.
And what you have to do in your membership is help people keep moving forward, to keep persisting, to stay plugged in, because eventually they'll get success. The only way they don't succeed is if they quit. They bail on the membership, correct?
Yes.
Right? Then they're out there just getting inspiration. It's like watching a great Nike commercial. You feel inspired, but you don't change your life.
We have a video that when people cancel, they watch, and it's from him. I think that exact quote of like, if you leave now, you're going to go back to inspiration, or here is where you transform.
Yeah,
I think
I
we
love
have
it.
him refilm it and put that in there. That would be great.
I love it. Well, you guys are going to have a great year, man.
my man, we appreciate
Appreciate
you
it
so much.
Thank you so much.
This is amazing.
You got it.